You know what? I should have put Lady Bird and Three Billboards much higher on my best of 2017 list and put Get Out and Dunkirk much lower. Oh, hello again. I had to take a little break after I've done my Deadpool 2 review, but I just have to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp because I haven't excluded myself from doing a video review on any of the Marvel movies from Avengers to present. After fighting alongside Captain America in Civil War, Scott Lang finds himself under house arrest after he makes a deal with the government. But soon he is called for help by Hank Pym and Hope, who are building a tunnel to transport themselves to the quantum realm, and Scott may have some answers on how they could locate Hope's lost mother, Janet, since he found himself in the quantum realm in the last movie, but was able to return to the real world, which hasn't happened before. However, this mysterious young woman named Ava is after Hank's work because she's trying to fix herself after an incident alter her molecular structure, giving her the ability to transport herself or become transparent or be invisible. Essentially be like a ghost. Huh? As some of you know, I thought the first Ant-Man movie was pretty decent. It had a unique style and it was essentially a heist film. And with the sequel, we get something on the same lines as the first one and definitely something lighthearted, which I could use after Avengers Infinity War. And I thought this was another fun little flick by Marvel, no pun intended, but they include some upgrades in terms of action, like they expand on the scenarios of shrinking and enlarging, and it is pretty enjoyable how they go back and forth with it and expand on the whole notion. Plus, we get to see Hope involved more in the action, and that really excites me because I really loved her character in the first film, but I really wanted her to do more, and we do get some pretty kick-ass moments with her. It is so cool to see her let out some small, I'm sorry, scratch that, big doses of aggression, and even Scott is like, she seems intense, this is what she's been wanting to do, and finally her dad is letting her seize the opportunity to do it. But there were some funny little instances with the whole concept. Like, Scott mentions that he destroyed the original suit, but they had another suit for him, which is a prototype, but it keeps malfunctioning. It goes back and forth between shrinking and enlarging. And Hope is trying to help out, but it doesn't help much. In one scene, they need to track down their lab, which is a building that can shrink and enlarge, and it contains their quantum tunnel, which they're going to use to help find Hope's mother. But they need to track it down because Ghost took it. And Scott revealed that he didn't destroy the suit, that is hidden in this little trophy that his daughter gave him called the world's greatest grandma. But it was the only one she could find. So they go to her school, and Scott's prototype suit keeps backfiring. It makes him larger, but Hope tries to fix it up, and it shrinks him down to the size of a preschooler, and she's just having too much fun with it. She says, "If only Cap could see you now." And to blend in, Scott puts on this hoodie from the Lost and Found, and he's having a hard time trying to reach for his daughter's backpack that contains the trophy, and again, Hope mocks him. You can do it. You can do it. And when they get out of the school and make their way towards the van, Hank has some fun with it too. It's like, hey, champ, how was school? You want a juice box or some string cheese? But they managed to track down the location of their lab, and they find Ava, and she traps them. And I like to get on the subject of Ava, also known as Ghost. I thought she was another decent antagonist, and Marvel is again playing with the sympathetic villain card with, you know, Thanos and Killmonger, and I feel like they're doing pretty well with their villains now. So, but some people may say that Ghost is not a strong villain, you know, coming after Thanos, who was so chilling and so threatening and full of death. But to be honest, I know it's no easy feat, but I think she did pretty well. I think Hannah John Kamen, who plays her, can look very intimidating and pretty at the same time. I mean, she definitely looked a little bit mad, and I think that was very well played. She definitely creeped me out a bit. And she reveals, you know, her background, that an incident caused her parents to get killed, and her molecular structure to get arranged that causes her to, like, you know, pop in and out and become transparent, and she is just trying to get herself all fixed because her structure just keeps falling apart. And it turns out that an old colleague of Hank's named Ben Foster, who's played by Lawrence Fishburne, is helping her. And it is another surprise villain, but I say he's pretty standard as Marvel villains go. And there is another one. This black market tech seller named Sonny Botch or Butch, I forgot, just Sonny, we'll call him Sonny, who's played by Walton Goggins. He's an actor I really like, seeing him in a few Tarantino films like Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight. And some say his role is pretty pointless, but to be honest, I don't mind seeing him there. I thought his role was a little better than his role in Tomb Raider. His character reminds me so much of his character in The Hateful Eight, Chris Mannix, and I thought he was like one of the best parts of that movie, in that he's like a southern gentleman, but he like sells a few things to Hope, you know, for their quantum tunnel, but she assumes another identity, and that doesn't sit well with them, and they are just like trying to find her, Hope, and Hank. I should mention there's one scene where he goes over to Louise, and they inject him with some truth serum, but they keep telling him it's not truth serum. But they inject him with it, and they ask him, where is Scott? And he starts telling one of his stories. I was hoping this would happen. And this was perhaps the funniest part of the movie, in that he goes back to when he first met Scott in prison, and he has this very funny haircut with these curls. And, you know, it's so funny to see, you know, other characters, you know, have Louise's voice to speak in mannerism. Yeah, I'm in prison too, but we're going to be best buds. And you even see Hope acting like Louise as he's telling his story. You know, he's like recapping the events of the first movie. And seriously, Marvel has got to have Louise, you know, recap a lot of what went on in the MCU, because it is so delightfully funny. I get a real kick out of it. It needs to happen. Another funny scene is Scott, Hope and Hank back in their lab, and they're trying to figure out the coordinates of Janet's location. And some things aren't just working. And then suddenly, Janet starts communicating through Scott, and it's so funny how, oh, you know, Paul Rudd is acting very feminine, and Hank's like, Janet? He's like, hi, darling. Hi, Jellybean. And they're just like, what is going on? But more on that. When Scott was in the quantum realm, it seemed like Janet had made a little connection to him, but it was actually like an antenna, so she can communicate through Scott, and they could find her location, and they do, but they need to keep it on that location, otherwise it would be lost if someone were to tamper it. Someone like Ava. So yeah, we get more chases. You know, Ava and Ben Foster and Sonny, you know, after them, and it's pretty fun. Nothing too great, but you know, this is what I expect from Ant-Man. Again, they make they make good use of, you know, shrinking and enlarging. Like they enlarge Pez dispenser, a Hello Kitty Pez dispenser, and Stan Lee's cameo is pretty amusing. His car gets shrunk, and he's like, "Well, the '60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it." And we even get to see Scott become Giant Man again, but honestly, it isn't as exciting as it was in Civil War. He doesn't do anything funny. He just like takes the lab away from Sonny, who gets on a boat, and like even flicks him, and he starts to become nauseated because he can't stay a giant for long. It'll cause him to pass out, but Hope manages to save him. But also they also have some new ants for him to who help him out. And there's like one scene where a bunch of these flying ants keep getting eaten by seagulls, and one catches Scott, and he's like, I'm gonna call you Antonio Banderas, but he gets eaten by a seagull too. Antonio! Why must the good ants always die? First Anthony, now Antonio! Life is cruel to ants. But anyway, they're like racing against their mission. And Hank makes his way into the quantum tunnel, and he manages to find Janet, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer, and they succeed in bringing her back. And it is a sweet reunion. But then Janet notices Ava and her pain, but she has absorbed some energy in the quantum realm all the time she's been there, and she was like able to like restore her molecular structure. Some people may have some reservations about the science and Jenna's new power, but I kind of accept it because science, biatch. But I also like how Ava gets reformed at the end. Yeah, I don't think it has been done before, so it's kind of nice to see her, you know, survive and change a bit. But I should mention, you know, all this time Scott is under house arrest. You know, he's worried about, you know, being caught, but Hope assures him that there is a giant ant taking his place, so they wouldn't know. And I like how the officer who like overlooks Scott's whereabouts is the same guy who played Asian Jim Halpert in The Office. You know that prank in The Office where someone took over for Jim, making Dwight think he's Asian. You know, even having like a photo of him with Pam and two Asian kids. Asian Jim Halpert. But after they complete their mission, Scott made it back home in time and his house arrest is up, so he could spend a lot more time with his daughter. So, to sum it all up, Ant-Man and the Wasp was decent fun like the first one. It had much stronger action in it. The story wasn't its strongest point, but you know, you watch these movies to, you know, get a little like science fiction fun. It was definitely the movie that I needed to see, you know, after Avengers Infinity War, along with Incredibles 2, just for some lighthearted fun that is not so heavy like Infinity War, or even some parts of Deadpool 2. Man, I keep having a different reaction from those movies. But I got what I thought I would get with Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I think you'll have fun with it. If you like the first one, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this one too. So, I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp my modest approval. Also, I should talk about the post-credit scene. It shows Scott with Hope, Hank, and Janet, and Scott is going through the quantum tunnel to collect some quantum energy, and Janet is giving him some directions, and tells him to avoid some time portals. That may be an important point. But anyway, Scott goes into the quantum realm and he collects energy, and he's trying to contact Hope, Hank, and Janet, but he gets no answer. And we cut back to the real world and there's nothing but dust. No! I mean, I had a feeling it was coming, but Hope too? First Anthony, then Spidey, then Antonio Banderas, and now Hope? No! Curse you, Thanos! Just when I was having a fun time, they dropped this. Haven't I suffered enough? But the next post-credit scene after that is nothing too important. It just shows the ant that was covering for Scott in his home playing the drums, and it is nothing too important, but it was pretty amusing. And they showed the words, Ant-Man and the Wasp will return? ? Stop it, Marvel! Stop toying with my emotions! So, there. That's pretty much all I had to say about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think we've had some pretty interesting Marvel films. I mean, we finally got Avengers Infinity War and also Black Panther, which turned out very well. It's a bit tough trying to decide which is my favorite of this year. After much consideration, I may have to go with Black Panther. And some of you may say, but that was mediocre and underwhelming. Avengers Infinity War is the real deal. Yeah, but I kind of felt like Avengers Infinity War was a little bloated. I can kind of see where critics' main where critics may be coming from with it, but still think this was like a movie made for the fans. It's like you're given this huge banquet, and there's like a lot of delicious food, and it looks so oh delicious. And as you're like consuming them halfway, for me, I'm like, I'm getting a little bit full here. And that's how it felt like with Infinity War for me. There's like a lot to digest from. But, you know, I loved a lot of things from that movie. I love Thanos, I love the Black Order, I love the character interactions, I love the mystery of the Soul Stone and where it was and how you obtain it. There is a lot to love about Infinity War, but I would have to go with Black Panther as my favorite because it was so different and so fresh. I know some people think it's just getting praised for having like a black cast, but I think it has a really good story that leaves you intrigued and characters you love and a villain that is so intriguing and sympathetic. I'm just gonna have to go with Black Panther. So, Wakanda forever! Also, I will give Infinity War this. It was more consistent than some of the DCEU movies. So my hats off to the Russo brothers for performing such a huge feat. That's pretty much it. I kind of feel bad for not being able to review a lot of movies this year, but I may have some plans on how to achieve that. Like, I'm thinking about doing like a like one long video, you know, reviewing movies on a monthly basis, like the ones that are worth talking about. Like, if I were to do like a review for releases in August, I would do like the Meg, Black Klansman, or the Happy Time Murders. So I very much might consider that. So thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to deliver more videos to you. Till then, so long.